Thank you again for choosing Trapp Cadillac Chevrolet.
Trapp Cadillac Chevrolet has been serving South Louisiana for over 50 years. That's right, 50 years. No matter how much Trapp has grown, you can count on hometown feel, friendly service every time you stop it. Our unmatched service and diverse Chevrolet, Cadillac, and pre-owned inventory has set us apart as the preferred car dealer in South Louisiana. We're also known for our outstanding auto repair service, changing your oil quickly and easy financing.
We promise to always give the most in your auto buying experience here at Trapp Cadillac Chevrolet in Houma.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Facebook YouTube coverage. And we look back at the year 2024. And how about now we go into June? Two senators right here from the area, and we appreciate them being here. Once again, we have Senator Mike Fazey, there you see him, in District 20, and Senator Robert Alain, and he's in District 21. Gentlemen, good to see y'all. Thank you.
Good to see you, Mark.
Thanks for having us.
All right, a lot happening. We're going to talk today a little bit about state, a lot about state, and a lot about federal, because I know y'all are tapped in pretty good. And Senator Fazey, you're a delegate
Yes.
this year.
Yeah, I'll be a Trump delegate to the convention.
All right, so we can definitely talk about that in a little while, you know. All right, so first of all, a lot of things, we saw a lot of things coming our way, you know, with the sessions and all. And I guess, Mike, I'll start with you. What was it like out there? What was the feeling in Baton Rouge from your predecessor to here? How was it different? In your own words, tell the audience.
Well, the difference is that we can pass bills now. We know we're going to get signed. That's the biggest and most important thing. And one of the bills that I put forth, a lot of people say, well, you don't really need it because it's in the Constitution. But like you said, even what is going on around the country is if it's in the Constitution, they say, well, you may need to interpret it different because if it's not in law, it maybe not be what you're saying. Mm-hmm. So basically, I put a bill forward that said you must be a United States citizen in order to register to vote in the state of Louisiana. Mm-hmm. And
how quick did that move?
It took some time, unbelievably. Yeah. Many arguments that we shouldn't have that law, but we got it through, and I wouldn't have never chanced that law or that bill last with the previous governor, whereas I know, you know, our governor here is going to take care of that and sign it right away.
Can you believe we're talking about things like this? I mean, I'm not picking on Democrats or Republicans, but years ago when my grandparents were still alive and most people were Democrats way back when, that wasn't even a thought process. You had to be legal. You had to be a citizen.
Yes.
You know, but.
Well, so now it'll be in law. And actually, I got to be at the Capitol tomorrow because Jeff wants to do, our governor, Landry, wants to sign it as a public sign and sign it into law.
Wow.
And,
incredible.
That way we could put a statement across the country because many of the states are talking about letting anybody vote.
Mm-hmm. All right. I want to turn to Senator Robert Alain. And, just what was it like? Tell me your thoughts.
You know, look, we got in there in January. This is our third session. You know, a lot of people say, well, you know, you got elected, we haven't seen you. Well, we've been in Baton Rouge since January.
You haven't come home.
I haven't come home. But look, great support staff that helps take care of me, my family. I have a lot of people to thank for the ability to go up there. I think this is my first term, but, you know, the Senator Fazey and I talked about this. It's a different wind, a different feeling in Baton Rouge of things are getting done. People are, I've heard, hopeful for the first time. You know, that this Governor Landry's come in and really kicked the door down with reform. And we love that. That's what a lot of us younger politicians and people who ran for office for the first time ran on, change. We want change now. So I think that's what we're seeing. And like Senator Fazey said, it's good to know that you can get a bill all the way through the process and it's going to get signed.
Is it safe to say that the pace has picked up quite a bit in Baton Rouge? Because I've been knowing Jeff Landry, just following his career and having him on the news desk here from way back. Rolling stones gather no moss. I guess that would be the best way Brother Anthony used to tell us that at Vanderbilt. Does he ever get tired? He's like the Energizer Bunny, isn't he?
Well, I have to agree with that because he had a set quota of what he wanted done, and I mean almost everything he wanted done came through the Senate and the House, so made a bunch of things that hopefully, I feel that the people are respect of what we did. Some of the things on insurance, it was a change that we're not used to, but that's the only way to get insurance rates down.
Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about insurance too, but Senator Allen is dealing with the governor. Is he a tough negotiator?
I wouldn't say a tough negotiator. I would say he's got his head on straight and he's got a mission that he wants to get done. And he's brought us into the fold and said, look, we need change. We're last. And, this is the first time I've been in government, but, the media in Baton Rouge was saying government's moving too fast. That, I've never heard that. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a good thing to hear is that we are moving fast. Government can be efficient. And I think we've got some great leadership at the top.
Yeah, what they should have been saying is the government's finally keeping up with what they should be doing. I mean, we expect the government to move at a good clip. Let's talk about some of the local projects. What were y'all able and successfully able to create for the local districts here?
I guess for a lot of the things that we put in that we got money, whether it would be in P1 where you get money now and P5, one of the things I pushed hard on was the levee. The levee board's been wanting a new building, and we got the property, I think, last year or the year before, and we got a little money put in for that because Wildlife and Fisheries is going to move into it with them and be like an EOC for going down there by past the air base a little ways. And then the Brady Road Bridge, we finally, me and Robert worked hard on getting money for the Brady Road Bridge, and I think that's most important, so we don't have to end up putting that barge in place. It was purchased in cost in case the bridge goes out.
Let's talk about the Constitutional Convention, and Robert, we'll start with you this time, and what were your thoughts on the convention itself?
Yeah, so we did not pass the bill that originated in the House by Representative Boyer. I think we just, like we had mentioned earlier, government was moving so fast, we didn't think we really had the time to get into it. And I'll tell you, the supermajority of the legislature wants some form of the Constitutional Convention. We know we have to make changes, especially knowing that 89% of our money is dedicated. When we go up there, we're having to try to fix the problems with 11% of the money. You couldn't give me a business that I could only control 11%. So it's a tough job, and I think we need to make some of those changes, moving some of those dedications, into law, into statute, and be able to, with 2/3 majority of the legislature, make changes. You mentioned keeping pace and being able to pivot earlier. That's exactly what I think we need to do.
Yeah, of course. Let's talk about, let me get your thoughts on the convention.
Well, I'm right in line with what he said because, you cannot make adjustments you need to make with 11% control of the money. Having this dedicated, because some of the money just goes unused, not used properly, I guess. And so we need to be able to control that better. So I'm right on board. We need to do something. But when we do it, we got to make sure we don't get caught in say just a full open constitutional revamp.
Right. And I like you guys, but what about that media bill that went, but New Orleans and Baton Rouge had a field day with that one. Were y'all catching heat as individual senators or as groups about what they were trying to do with not releasing some information? Because that was the media dove into that pretty good.
You want to hit that one, Robert?
Yeah, I mean, look, the number of requests that come into a new administration is astronomical. I saw some of the numbers. So what we don't want to do, we're trying to walk a fine line between protection, for schedules and security for the governor, his team, his staff, his family. But also we don't want their staff wasting all of their time that they should be governing giving information requests. So, we discussed it as a Senate and really got it down to where it was procedural and for security purposes only. So I think we struck a good balance with that.
Yeah, and I think it was designed originally. We could make reasonable requests over the years, which we've done as a station here, so I'll take up for the media there, but I see some requests that are basically just ridiculous.
Busy work.
And it just
It's just to keep us busy and spend our money and our time, so we don't have time to really fix the problem.
There is, I mean, I see both sides to that, but being in the media, we certainly want to have access, but at the same time, you're right. We don't want to bog down everybody where they can't do their job. So there's got to be a happy medium somewhere in there. Let's talk about seafood. That's always a big issue, and I've always said on my shows, you know, when I go shop at Rouse's or wherever, you can take Canadas, all these local stores, and there's a lot of people that look for that, you know, caught in the Gulf, and they really look at that a lot. How has that changed?
They need to be, you know, looking at that very, very close, because one of my bill, SB 62, what it did, it separates domestic seafood from imported seafood. And the reason why we wanted to do that is because now we can start testing the imported seafood for all the bad things that are in it. I mean, they're growing it in sewer ponds, they're growing, you know, it's just, I can't tell you where they're growing half the seafood at is in bad, and it's contaminated with, and then full of antibiotics. Actually, I love the mayor saying down in Grand Isle, he says he buys a couple pounds of imported seafood once a year, puts them in the freezer and packs them separately. So when he gets sick, instead of going to the doctor, he eats a couple of the shrimp and he gets all the antibiotics he needs.
What does that sound like, David? Calm it down.
Yeah. So anyway, what my bill does, along with 4 other bills, it consolidates a lot of things so we can protect ourselves from the imported seafood dangers between testing and all the ways it's I guess put into factories and mixed, blended. So we're trying to stop all of the blendings, you know, to where you don't even know what you're buying.
Senator Allen, do you hear a lot on that? And I'm sure you do.
Yeah, and I'll give props to my neighbor and Senator Fessy. He took the charge with this one. And Senator, I carried a bill. I think he carried 2 bills. Senator Connick carried a bill all about revamping our seafood, the way we test our seafood. Mm-hmm. Our seafood. My bill revamped the Seafood Safety Task Force, which, you know, takes in and studies all of this stuff. You know, all of these bills were a package that we all carried. All of them passed, because we've got to give our commercial fishermen a fighting chance. Right. I've been commercially hunting alligators for almost 20 years. Mm-hmm. It's tough business. It's dirty. It's stinky. You know, it can be nasty. These guys deserve, you know, a fighting shot.
Well, I'm going to take a little more time, Jay, on this segment, because when you brought up alligators, we talked about pythons. Alligators are all over the place. It must be is it a good situation for the hunters, or do they need to hunt them more? What was the bill you were trying to get through?
So I had a bill that revamped how we structured our tags to give more tags to the hunters. We have a population problem. In the 70s, you know, we almost lost the American alligator here. But it was such a good comeback program, it is way overpopulated now. I took a 3-foot alligator out of my flower bed at my office 2 days ago. You ride up and down the bayous, you see them dead on the side of the road. Talking with Wildlife Fisheries, I pulled my bill. I got all of the stakeholders, the Wildlife Fisheries Commission, Wildlife and Fisheries, the Alligator Advisory Board, everybody who deals with alligators. We had a sit-down meeting, and I said, we have to work. I passed a study resolution that requires everybody to get together, study this problem, and present us with possible solutions before next session.
The curse word is insurance. It's replaced the 4-letter words that we're used to. If you say insurance, people get nervous, they cringe. Any light at the end of the tunnel? I know we've had the insurance commissioner on. He really seems like he's trying. What's y'all's standpoint on insurance?
Well, you know, being on the insurance committee last term, and I had to switch to Senate Government Affairs this term, but still staying close attention to what's going on and working on it. We have a lot of work to do because we have so many rules and regulations here in Louisiana that other places in the country, even in the other states, don't have, and that's the 3-year rule is one, which I'm sure he's talked about. And that gives someone to come in and be able, an insurance company to come in and get insurance on a house that's worth protecting. I mean, if you let your house run down and it needs a new roof and all, they were forced to reinsure it anyway. And so this kind of gives them some protection, because when your roof blows off because you didn't change it, it's all the damage internal that's what cost the insurance companies, and so it's a hard knock. I'm sure everybody's heard that I'm gonna just wait till a hurricane comes and I'm gonna have the insurance company replace my roof, but that's not the only thing that gets damaged. And so they push really hard to get more insurance companies in here, long as that rule goes away.
Yeah, Robert, let me ask you. A lot of people have new roofs now because Ida forced them. I mean, I've got new roofs all over the place, and I don't know why they've never made this a Cat 5, but over here, when you have sustained winds of 165 plus for 6 or 7 hours, to me, it's a Cat 5. So I got a Cat 5 building, but a lot of people have new roofs. Is that going to help the cost?
In the long term, yes. And I got on the insurance committee this term, and I plan on staying on it. I ran a big part of my campaign was about insurance and the unaffordability of it, and what our options are moving forward. And I'll tell you, Tim Temple, our new insurance commissioner, came to our committee with, I think he had 10 bills on the property side and another 6 bills on the auto side. 9 out of 10 bills passed. And he came to our committee as a statewide elected official and said, if this does not work, blame me. And it really left an impression on me that this man signed up for this job at the worst possible time to have this job in this state. And he's saying, put it on my shoulders. Trust me. He went with the insurance committee. We went and meet with these insurance companies that no longer write here and said, where are we outliers? What can we do to get you back writing? Because the only thing that's going to lower rates is competition. So to answer your question, I think there is light at the end of the tunnel. It's not going to happen this year, but it's going to take some time to work the legislation through and see the effects of it. But I have hope.
Does it scare you all, especially you, Robert? You're on the insurance committee now, and Senator, you were, Senator Fazy, but that the weather, the tornadoes we've seen this year, it's incredible now. Don't get me wrong, we saw those in the 70s too. So a lot of people are coming to me all the time and say, global warming. I'm going, maybe it's cyclic. Maybe you need to look back at the 70s and find out we had quite a few too, but does that alarm you?
Look, we're always going to have storms. It doesn't alarm me because Florida, Mississippi, Alabama, and Texas have storms. They have tornadoes. They have hurricanes. Their insurance rates are not near as bad as ours. So I have hope that even with the natural disasters that have happened and the ones that are to come, hopefully never, we'll get through it. We're a resilient state, and we'll get through it.
Keep our fingers crossed.
And what I got to say about it is that now we're building all our buildings and homes stronger. So if you look at the camps that survived on Grand Isle versus the ones that had been there for a long time, I mean, that proves a point. The new camps on Cocodrie, I mean, damage was minimal. So I think as we improve our technology on how we construct things, is also that the insurance companies will recognize that and see that there is sustainable buildings that are built for hurricanes.
But I can't figure we're going to wrap it up here. I put a strap on every board, not just every other. I put a strap on every one. I'm going, they don't cost that much. Just put a strap on every one and just batten the hatches. I appreciate what y'all are doing, and doors always open. Come chit chat with us, and thank y'all so much.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your health is our legacy. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bork, know your rights.
Everybody, welcome back to Bayou Time. Harry McCullough here. We start with a story that's been probably 4 months in the making and just shows again the tragedy of drugs that can happen in our area. Here to talk a little more about it is First Lieutenant Blake Tabor. He's with the Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office, the PIO, the Public Information Officer. This is a tough story, right? And again, you know, sometimes you think things can be recreational, but they can have tragic consequences down the road.
They could have a huge impact on even the ones that we prefer they not have impact on, you know. So again, this is never a good topic to discuss, but you know, we have been talking about a lot of tragedy that's been happening here in Terrebonne Parish over the last month, and this one is certainly no different. So on February 5th of this year, shortly before 2:30 a.m., we were called to a house in the 100 block of St. Louis Street. Reports surfaced at that residence of a 6-week-old child that was found unresponsive by the mother. So, of course, when we showed up, we made contact with the female. She was very distraught. And ultimately, we did locate the 6-week-old child who was in the front room area of the residence. We could tell that CPR was attempted by the mother and by other occupants in the home. And ultimately, the baby was found unresponsive. So, of course, our deputies quickly sprung into action. We began CPR activities until the Bayou Cane medical personnel showed up on scene and took over that scene. Ultimately, the child was transported to a local nearby hospital for further medical treatment. You know, during the course of that investigation, we revealed some information that the child and the mother were laying in the same bed within the residence, and they went to sleep around 10 or 10:30 that particular night, and around 2:30 is when she awakened to find the baby unresponsive. So, of course, anytime we have this type of death investigation, it's not typically handled by our patrol division. We always bring in detectives, and that is certainly what happened in this particular set of circumstances. In addition to our violent crimes detectives, also crime scene detectives arrived on scene, and they began to process that scene. Once we began to do that, sort of a different story started to emerge, right? They ultimately found a large amount of illegal narcotic type paraphernalia within the home. It was, again, through multiple areas of the home, some in the bedroom, some in the bathroom. And so, you know, ultimately that led to the discovery that the mother, who was identified as a Megan Ashley Cortez, she's a 30-year-old female from Houma. You see her photographed here. She was an admitted heroin user, where we uncovered some information that on that particular day prior to the death, she did use heroin and had some close contact with the child. Now, again, you know, anytime you find a 6-week-old child deceased, we don't jump to conclusions. These are very intensive investigations. They're very lengthy investigations, and we have to make sure that all of the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. So, ultimately, a short time later, we discovered that the baby did not make it. The remains of the child was sent to the Jefferson Parish Coroner's Office, which is pretty consistent with this type of case. They are certainly experts in this field. So a full-scale autopsy was done, where our detectives did accompany and be a part of that, as well as a routine toxicology screen that was done. Now, the important thing to note about this was that there was no signs of physical trauma to the child. So it wasn't as though the child was beaten or strangled or anything of that nature, right? There was no indications of any abuse at that particular time. So, you know, again, anytime a child death is brought to a coroner's office, that is a lengthy process. People think that toxicology screens can come back within a day. That's not necessarily the case, unfortunately. So sometime during the month of April of this year, we discovered that the autopsy report was complete and that the cause of death was ruled as a homicide by fentanyl overdose. So again, you know, when we hear those results, that certainly sends us in a different direction. Again, our detectives continue to investigate this. They conducted a lot of interviews with not only the mother, but other family members and witnesses. We did work very closely with the Terrebonne Parish District Attorney's Office during this case in its entirety, and ultimately the decision was reached to arrest Cortez for negligent homicide. So ultimately, on June 3rd, we contacted her at her home where she was taken into custody on an arrest warrant, and she currently remains jailed at our location to await bond or trial with a $500,000 bond.
We are in the new building. We're at the old Whitney Bank building on Main Street, a block over from Government Towers. We're on the 3rd floor, and we occupy one corner when you, Suite 302, as you come out of the elevators. And I'll bring you guys on a tour, kind of show you a little bit around, and some people may not be familiar with the bank building, kind of give you a show of what it is. If anybody was familiar with the old boardroom on the 3rd floor in the Whitney Bank building, that would be directly that way in front of me. That's another piece, and we'll kind of I'll talk through it as we narrate and come out the other end. Our suite as we come in is here, and it's a little bit bigger than our suite that we had at the Government Towers. So we've got our reception area where our executive assistant sits, and then our kind of copy and electronics area. And then Catherine Terrio, this is her area. She takes care of the BREs, the business retention and expansion, business locations and recruiting, helping new startups and things such as that. We've got my office, and then it's so much different because we didn't have a lot of windows in our other office. So as you can pan around, you'll see that we've got our entire wall in my office, in the lobby, and in Tammy's office is all windows. So we've got a small conference training area right here. Hello. And some of our faithful guests and friends have come to see us and help us celebrate the opening of the new office. And this goes out into a shared conference room. So this is where we do our board meetings and large conference meetings. If a company wants to come in and they've got some of their people with them, their attorneys and real estate people and things such as that. So we're pretty comfortable here. And as you can see, we've got another whole wall of windows there. All right, so walking through the door, you're going to get into Fletcher's area. And what the agreement that they've come to with, they're still in negotiations with the parish administration, but their plan is to be in this whole section and a wing. So it works really well because we're right next door, and there's a lot of things that we can collaborate on, and it's a natural fit that we can help. If we have an entrepreneur who comes through the door with a great idea, they may need some coaching, they may need some sort of business plan or something that's outside of what we do. So we can help them with all the tools that we have for them, for tax ID numbers and getting them set up with the occupation license and getting them started to that point. But make sure there's a seamless transition going from Terrebonne Economic Development into Fletcher's business incubator. And there's going to be times that a person may come into Fletcher's doors and they're going to direct them to us. So I think it's a great collaboration that we can work together on this and fill in any gaps that there might be between the two. And we're right next door to one another. So I think there's going to just be a natural bond and things that we may not even realize that we may have missed, but it's things that we can identify, improve upon, and fill in those gaps. We're looking forward to having them here and building good synergies and sharing resources. The building did have damage from Hurricane Ida, and the second floor is completely gutted out, and they're going to have to redo that. There was a company in there for many years and spent a lot of money in the second floor. They've had to, unfortunately, go in and tear all that out. We're on the 3rd floor, like I mentioned earlier, and they have come through and they've replaced the majority of the ceiling tiles. The carpet's been cleaned, if not replaced, in some of the panels that need to be. Fresh paint on the walls. I mean, it's first class. It looks really good in here. It's bright, white, full of light. and everything's in really good shape. They took their time going through it, and it was a transition because I think that Whitney, when they still owned the building, they had some of that work conducted, and then since the parish has taken over, some of building maintenance has been done by Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government. So they've got a full-time person on staff here, and they're the ones who take care of this building. Those guys do a fantastic job. Anything we ask of them, they're Johnny on the spot with getting it, helping us with it, or what have you. So it's a nice, fresh, clean workplace, and it's a nice, fresh, clean place for the public to come and see us, and it will be whenever they come to visit Fletcher as well.
To have the powwow here again in Houma. It's been 5 years since we've had it, since before COVID and Hurricane Ida. And what a powwow is to us is it's not just a family get-together, but it's a way for us to all get back together after it's been years of not being together. But it's also a contest, technically, where lots of dancers come from all over and compete against each other in these different types of dancing. So this starts as young as 2 years old for our tiny tots, and you'll see the really young kids out there dancing, and it goes all the way up to golden age. We also have different types of dancing. It varies from things like fancy dances. That's when you'll see the very elaborate outfits. We also have jingle dress, which is whenever you'll have the jingles along the women's dress. They also have fancy shawl. Whenever the women will wear, you'll see those more with the shawls, and the women will wear the more elaborate outfits. And they'll range from teenagers, juniors, all the way up through golden age women. And we're actually awarding $10,000 in prize money this year in those areas.
Today is about celebrating the abilities of individuals with disabilities and being able to do that in a culturally appropriate way. And so our focus of doing this and why we've done it the last 12 years is being able to match disability awareness with culture. And powwow is about celebration. It's about everyone coming into the arena and the circle where everyone's equal. And that certainly matches what the disability rights movement is about. And so, you know, for us, we're really excited to be able to have folks here to recognize and acknowledge that, you know, there are lots of folks, most people, there are many more people with disabilities in the community than a lot of people realize, and being able to acknowledge that it's not always a negative, it's a positive, and we celebrate the abilities of those individuals and how they can be an asset in the community.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by South Louisiana Bank. It's better when we bank together. Waits and Downer, attorneys at law. Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough. We're back to Bayou time. It is that time of the year again. Tropical storm Alberto in the Gulf of Mexico, many miles away, but causing some tidal fluctuations here in Terrebonne Parish. Parish President Jason Badgeron is here. Good to see you, Mr. Parish President, as always.
Yes, sir. I definitely like coming here, but
definitely don't want to be here for stuff like this.
So you're right.
Yeah.
As long as we don't bring out the stick, we can.
right, that's right.
All right, and Trey Middleton, of course, Terrebonne Levee and Conservation District is with us. Let's start with the parish president. Let's bring up the map, too, before, Jay, if we can, just showing the Gulf of Mexico. Quite a mess, quite a bunch of rain, just the cloud coverage very spread out in this storm. But it's still causing, you don't see the tidal surges in Terrebonne, but they're there. Cloud cover, not really prominent. But Mr. Parish President, you drove around today and you saw a lot of the parish. Give us your thoughts, if you don't mind.
Yeah, we're living with water now, and I don't think you could say that enough. In fact, a couple weeks ago, Levee District and us met and had that conversation. What is it to make sure we're doing everything we can to manage water and sometimes we do have short-term memories of things that used to flood that don't flood anymore, and we do continue to get better, but we do have a lot of work left to do. And so, it's trying to make sure that at the end of the day, water's not getting in people's houses, cars if we can help it, but definitely making sure water. You have water in some yards. As everybody's been able to hear it and feel it all day today, the wind has been blowing hard. Mm-hmm. So we're dealing with that. We're dealing with high tide. We're dealing with factors. I think it's important to remember that, when you look at a storm like Ida, a mile here and a mile there makes a huge difference in the damage, in the wind, in the water. And so, as we go through each one of these storms, we get a little bit more information to make sure that we're making the best decisions for our residents, and then we're able to provide that information to the nation, to state, to get models updated to make sure that we understand as we have some subsidence, as we have many issues with the water seems to be getting higher on a regular basis. And so we got to look at that, and every year make changes and adjustments to be better protected for the next opportunity.
I always tell people, here's a perfect example. Grand Isle, as the crow flies, if you go from the middle of the island east, it looks a whole lot different than the middle of the island west. So it does make a big difference on that. I want to turn to Trey, because a lot of people get confused. Certain bayous, they see the levels of the bayous, the floodgates, everybody gets confused. But I want to put something out there, because I want to let you explain the fact that, especially the Bubba Dove, you can't just open the Bubba Dove when you want. Am I correct on that? Will you explain that to the public?
Correct. All the floodgates in themselves have pretty stringent operating conditions to begin with. So if the tide's coming in too hard, if it's going out too hard, there's just certain operational parameters that we have to follow. And then there's also closure restrictions that we have to manage, like the Bubba Dove being a federal waterway. We can't just go close it. It's got to meet certain, name storm approaching, and it's a whole team that makes the decision to close the Bubba Dove. So
it's got to be a state of emergency, really. Huh?
Correct.
Isn't that the tricky part, though, especially when you're dealing with the public, and we've seen it so many times. People are getting nervous, the water's starting to come in, but you said a team of people are waiting on the word from higher ups to make that call. That's where it gets a little anxious, doesn't it?
Correct. And, our team has been out, monitoring situations, closing floodgates. We just closed Bush Canal floodgate, and in the early morning hours, we'll be closing Pointe-aux-Chenes floodgate. And, so that leaves a couple of, the H&C Bubba Dove is open. But, for the most part, most of the floodgates are closed at this point.
A lot of it comes from knowledge when we talk about closing the floodgates and which ones are closed, which ones will stay open, when you're allowed to do it. Mm-hmm. But there's not a computer or artificial intelligence telling you when to close each one and when to open them. You sort of got to go by a little team effort, trying to figure out when do we open them and when do we close them.
Right, and that's years of experience of our team, and being able to have that data that we get from the monitoring stations and go back and look at that data and learn from it and figure out the best way to do it. Being such a wide, broad system, just because something's coming, the water may be coming in on one end of the parish, but going out on the other end of the parish. So, each storm is different.
And is that what you saw today? Meaning some areas are draining, some areas are coming in?
Correct.
Just for the public?
Correct.
Isn't that amazing? That can happen in a parish. Of course, geographically, you're right. We saw in Grand Isle, one side gets devastated, the other's okay. But it's amazing how the wind comes in one place and is blowing out in another place. And does that cause y'all headaches? I guess is the easiest way to put it.
It can, yes, it can. It can be tricky. Mother Nature's tricky.
Yeah, hurry, close this gate, open this gate, or whatever. Hello again, everyone. I'm Martin Falls. This is some HTV news, very important news. And if you can recall, I'm going to bring you back to a press conference that occurred just a few weeks ago. And it was a very severe case. And let me bring you up to speed. Remember when Terrebonne Parish Sheriff Tim Saunier confirmed the arrest of a Thibodeau couple in connection with an attempted murder investigation, which was discovered during a traffic-related investigation by the Baytown Police Department, which is in Texas. Now, LaTanya Ann Harris, 40, pictured here, and Terrence Washington, 41. They were arrested for a series of violent charges in connection with the investigation. If we go a little further into what was discussed, and Mr. Joe Waits, the district attorney, was present at that press conference. Mr. Dennis Elford, the chief of staff for the district attorney's office, is present on the set today, and he's going to fill us in on the arraignment which took place today. But on April 21st, Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office first learned of a 15-year-old victim who was badly burned, shot multiple times, but at that point was still clinging to life during a traffic crash that occurred in Baytown, Texas at around 11 p.m. on April 20th. Let's bring in Mr. Alford now from the DA's office in Terrebonne Parish. Good to see you, Dennis. How are you?
Good to see you, Martin.
Wow, what a case. I guess I would be remiss if, we're going to talk about the arraignment and everything that happened today. But more importantly, I would like to know, how is the young lady doing at this point?
Well, our office, as well as Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office, is in communication with the victim. We speak with her quite often. As you said, immediately after the wreck or the accident that took place that caused the immediate arrest in Texas, she was transported to a Houston area hospital. She stayed there, I think, several weeks, close to a month, maybe a month and a half. She has been released from that medical facility, and she is back here in the Terrebonne-Lafourche area. While she is home, where she is living, she receives extensive medical treatment in the home. She continues to see her doctors on a regular basis. She has a long medical treatment future ahead of her, and she's got some possible surgeries looming. But she is a resilient person, and God bless her, because I think that attitude is going to go a long way with whatever eventual outcome is for her from a medical standpoint.
And of course, we all know she was 15, and of course the identities are protected, rightly so. And who knows, one day she may tell her own story, but that remains to be seen.
It's another day.
But let's go to the arraignment this morning. Whose courtroom was it in?
So, Martin, the arraignment, which is the first appearance for all defendants, is based upon a random allotment. Today, that arraignment was held in front of Judge Pickett in Division C. This is the time in which a defendant finds out the formal charges against her that will be pending as it pertains to the actions itself. Mrs. Harris was formally charged today with attempted first-degree murder, with second-degree cruelty to a juvenile, and finally a domestic abuse battery involving a child endangerment. She pled not guilty, as is the normal course for defendants in a first appearance. And this case has subsequently been allotted and the trial will be held in front of Judge Bethencourt. And the first trial date that is set is in October, specifically October 14th.
Okay, so the other perpetrator of this incident, Mr. Terrence Washington, he wasn't involved today, right?
So Mr. Washington is currently still incarcerated in Texas based upon the incident that culminated in his arrest. From what we understand, those are some significant charges, not near as significant as what he will be facing here in Terrebonne Parish. But nonetheless, he has to go through that process in Texas. There has been communication between our office, Texas law enforcement, and the district attorney's office in Texas to arrange for him to be transported, or at least to come and formally be faced with the charges here. We'd like to keep both of these defendants on the same track because there are similar charges, but it's going to take some coordination between the agencies in order to formally get that process solved.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by South Louisiana Bank. It's better when we bank together. Waits and Downer, attorneys at law. Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough.
It's a momentous occasion for us to have the dedication of the Chester Nixon Senior Public Safety Substation. Honored to be at this ribbon cutting and the dedication, to see law enforcement community coming together to work on having a safer community for all of us, of course, to raise our children and bring them up in a place where we know that they're safe every day. Safety of our residents is very important to myself, our council members, and all of our employees. And so I think this is a great occasion, a great opportunity, and great for us all to come together and to move Terrebonne Parish forward. And so I thank everybody for being here today. Thank HTV for helping cover this. And with that being said, I'm going to bring up Chief Travis Terrio for some remarks.
First off, I'd like to tell you what an honor it is. I mean, just to look out at everybody that's come out to pay tribute to a gentleman that has pretty much left a legacy within the community here, and to see everyone in support of this safety complex, this substation. I can't tell you how long we've been hearing of the creation of the substation in this area and how long it's been needed, but it's very important to have a footprint within your community and your neighborhood to connect with the citizens that we all serve and the town that we love. I can't thank the staff of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for making this happen, everyone that worked so hard, from the state on down, the contractors. We had a lot of speed bumps in the road, and it was a long time coming, but this is going to be a great asset to the Houma Police Department for daily operations. Just one of the operations, our school resource officers are going to be housed out of here. And what better way to connect with your kids and have your resource officers within the community? So, this is just one step to getting our police department back whole after Hurricane Ida and having us back within the city limits of Houma. So again, I just want to thank everyone for coming out today, and for everyone to come out in this hot weather and the heat to pay tribute. It's just a great honor to stand before you, and thank you.
All right, with that being said, I'd like to bring up Councilman Brian Pledger so we can have the introduction of the Chester Nixon Senior family.
Good evening. I'd like to take a few moments first to share in some experiences, not only experiences, but what this building means. I stand before you in probably what is considered one of the most underserved communities here in Terrebonne Parish. I'm going to be honest. Look around and you'll see this is about Chester Nixon Sr. and his family and the legacy that he left. But most importantly, to stand on principles. Because in this community is where Chester Nixon Sr. housed, fed, clothed, and trained individuals And I'm willing to bet whoever laid this cement, they had some way, shape, form, or fashion, or knew someone that laid concrete as well. That's who Chester Nixon Sr. was.
Thank God for everything that has happened out here, for this complex being named after my husband. And thank God for everything and everyone that had anything to do with this building. And thank Terrebonne Parish, all the people in Terrebonne Parish. I love y'all, and it ain't nothing y'all can do about it.
All right, Miss Mary's request, I want to also call Mr. S.P. LaRussa up here. Yes, sir. I want to call him up here because they want him to say something too as well.
I wouldn't plan for this after all these good speakers up here, but I was very instrumental in getting this building built. I'm the general contractor. This is one of a kind. There is no other building in Terrebonne Parish or in South Louisiana that's built like this. I'm in the process right now. I sold 10 lots, and we're building 10 houses like this. Bulletproof, termite proof, maintenance free. We're going in this subdivision. I got people from Texas coming down. They bought the lots, and we're starting in this subdivision. But by the way, the Nixons, I go way back with the Nixon family. I go over 50 years. 50 years. Mr. Nixon put me on the school board. He elected me when I ran for the school board. That family has been so close to me. That's unreal. This guy is look, I'm from East Houma. I live in East Houma, and he was the East Houma guy, and we stuck together. But his family is awesome. All his sons and daughters are great people. When they told me they was going to name this building after him, what other person in East Houma could you name it after but Chester Nixon? God bless you, Miss Nixon. I'm coming to see you after this is over with.
Wow, thank you all. One person I want to also recognize with the parish government is Jennifer Jabasi. She worked with the state, with the Office of Community Development to get this project funded, and she worked her hard, so I want to really commend her. And hearing, some of the comments we've had already, I'm also from the east side, right? I'm originally from Berg. My dad lives on Evelyn. And so to make sure everybody understands that my administration, to make sure that we take care of the east side just as much as we take care of the west side, it's about the entire parish and making sure TLC is done throughout the parish. And so you can ask any director here. We have a slogan that talks about seeing something and saying something. And then we're also talking about now doing something. So if you do see something, say something to us. Let us know. Send us a picture. Send us an address. I'm looking around right now going, there's things I think we could do better in this community. And so it's definitely important that we all get around, that we all understand all the issues of our entire community, and make sure that we help people get hand-ups, not handouts. And so thank you all again for everybody being here. We're going to have the ribbon cutting, and then we're going to have the family help us pull the deal down to show the name of the building. So again, thanks to everybody for being here, and y'all have a great day and a great week. God bless Terrebonne Parish. God bless the state of Louisiana, and God bless the United States.
On three. 1, 2, 3. Need sharp scissors. There we go. I got a little bit.
What a great day. I mean, to see the Chester Nixon Sr. Public Safety Complex, and you got up and said a few words, but your family's here. What a proud moment.
Oh, yes, it is. And I thank God it was a long time coming, but it finally got here. And I love all the people of Terrebonne Parish and everybody that had something to do with this building being built and put in my husband's name. And I thank God for everything that has been done and will be done. And everybody have a good time.
And look, it was a hot day, but every now and then they got a breeze, but no rain.
Don't rain at all.
Now look, everybody had to come through y'all house. Somebody was running for office. They had to come through and sort of get y'all blessing because y'all were well trusted in this community. And trust doesn't just grow in a day. That's a lifetime.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They sure did have to come to our house and we all get together, laugh and talk, drink, don't care what color you were. We all was the same color because it didn't matter about color to us. Because we love everybody.
Yeah. And how does it feel to see that name on this complex?
What a blessing, and I cried when I first saw it. I cried, and I thank God, and it's just such a wonderful feeling. I still haven't got used to it yet, but it's there, and I can come and look at it anytime I want.
Tell us a little bit about this fire that took place at Barbera Chevrolet.
So the alarm was received by our department at 5:58 p.m. And we responded quickly. We had a bunch, we all volunteer, so we had a bunch of people that were off and available, and we responded and got there pretty quick. And I mean, I was one of the first ones on scene, and it's almost what you see there in the video. It was heavy smoke visible from, miles away, as well as flames already coming through the roof.
Yes, sir.
And it spread very quickly.
Yeah. So and situationally is why it spread, right? With the heat of the fire and with regards to how hot it is and the wind. So a lot of factors, right?
A lot of factors. Some metal, steel metal building, and a lot of wood, a lot of lumber inside because of the the offices and the parts department. That's all lumber, and we call that fire load. The all of the combustibles, the cardboard boxes in the parts department.
Oh wow!
And so it's trapped inside of the metal building, if you will, and just kind of feeding on itself and just growing and growing. And even though it had vented itself through the roof, there was still a lot of fire inside.
Yeah, and because of that, you acted and reacted very quickly in summoning help with some of your brothers in other area fire departments, correct?
Absolutely. Over the past years, we came to recognize that a volunteer fire department, we sometimes very limited in manpower, and so we don't even give it a second thought anymore. Immediately, we'll call for backup. What we call mutual aid from the neighboring department.
Right.
And of course, on a huge fire like this, and considering the temperatures of the day, I think we had a 105 heat index yesterday.
Yes, sir.
We knew we were going to be burning out our men pretty quick. So that's how we just kept escalating additional calls.
It's great to get this bridge open. They called me this morning and said with the rain, are we still doing this? Said rain, sleet, snow, whatever it is, we are opening this bridge today to allow traffic to get across. And so, when we have a new artery to get people in and out of town, I just say that everybody be aware with traffic pulling out on this bridge that we run slower on Bayou Black Drive here. So I thank the Treasury for helping making this happen. Gordy Dove, previous administration. This has been coming for a while now, and unfortunately, with everything going on with COVID and Ida, extended the length of this project. But we're finally able to get it completed and get it opened and move some traffic around the parish. So with that being said, I'm going to call up past President Gordy Dove to say a few remarks. Thank you.
Good evening, good morning. It's an honor for me and pleasure for me to be here, and I thank the invite from the parish president and administration. And what a great day for Bayou Black, Gibson, and Terrebonne Parish. We started this thing about 5 years ago. Then, in the meanwhile, we hit Ida, we hit COVID, and yet Candace and Mort Black, the engineers, GIS, and everyone stayed on it until we were able to get it done. and I was so glad to get it done early into this year, I should say. And the President administration kept it going. And, you know, it's a 3-lane bridge, $4.3 million. 3.2 million of it was Restore Act, Restore Act is money from the BP oil spill. So out of an oil disaster became something that was needed by the people of Terrebonne Parish, and it is 3-lane. We tried to get DOT to accept 3 stop signs on the other side to stop that traffic, and they refused to, so we did have to guarantee a stoplight if they ever wanted us to put it up. And so, you know, the money, we had guaranteed about $350,000 for a traffic light if needed. And, you know, we built the bridge on Polk Street, and, you know, it was, you know, I guess you could call it a fancy bridge, good-looking bridge. And that's why we want to do the same thing here in helping beautify Terrebonne Parish. And what a good-looking bridge and timely. And look, I want to thank everyone involved, and especially Mart Black. After we bid it, we were $300,000 short. Him and Candace. Mart, I think, even went to Washington to go get the extra $300,000. Because remember, this money came through the U.S. Treasury. So try getting money out of the U.S. Treasury during the pandemic, during COVID. And, I mean, it was next to impossible. And Mart, you never gave up and kept it going. And Candace and all the staff. So what a great day. I hope everyone enjoys the bridge. And God bless everyone here. God bless our veterans and the police that serve us in the Sheriff's Department. Thank y'all. God bless.
This bridge is going to be dedicated in honor of Houma Police Department Patrolman Austin Bush, and we'll announce that later this year. He unfortunately lost his life during Ida, and we thought it'd be a good idea to name this bridge. So we'll do that at a later date. I'm sure we got to get a plaque and all that stuff for it. We don't have that right now. So I think we can cut the ribbon. 1, 2, 3.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Alford and Associates for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality.
We are here at the Houma Terrebonne Civic Center to listen to the Houma Terrebonne Community Band. 40 years of excellence. It's been a long number of years, but a lot of band members still having fun. So we're going to listen in as the band celebrates 40 years. All right, what a night. 40 years, it's here. People in line, they're getting a good supper, they're getting relaxed. Saw a couple of them drinking a little wine. What's this mean, Denise? It's pretty fun.
This means a lot to me, but it means a lot to us, and we hope it means a lot to the community because it's an accomplishment. I mean, it's 111,000 people in this parish, and we've kept a community band for 40 years. You know, the only years we didn't perform were the COVID and Ida years, but other than that, we've always performed. So to me, it's a huge deal.
Mimi, I tell you what, you look like you're ready to go. You're calm, cool, and collected.
Yes, I am. I'm ready to go. We're going to let the food line get down a little bit, and then we'll get started with the national anthem, and we'll get started with the concert band portion of the program.
Can I say how proud I am that you have the stick? She has the stick working tonight. There you go. All right, Matthew, describe your feelings right now.
I'm excited to be here. This band was founded, a whole 10 years before I was even born, and we put the community in community band. That's kind of one of the cool things about this. We have all these people from different walks of life, different age groups who come and just combine their talents together to make this one big product. So it's nice to see that going strong in Houma Terrebonne.
Yeah. And you know, somebody watching, community band takes donations. They need it. Look at all the gear. Look at the people. There's just all kind of stuff. Jason walking around showing you all the things. And Denise, while he's doing that, how can people get involved?
If you go to our website, www.htcb.org, there is a Friends of the Band or sponsorship form page where you can fill out a form and send it to us. The address is on the form. I mean, anything, we'll take emails, phone calls, whatever, or you can just mail us a check at P.O. Box 1743, Houma 70361.
Any limit on the amount? If somebody wants to give you $10,000, you'll take it, right?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Well, send them $5, $10, $25, $100, whatever you have. Help the community band. 40 years, folks. 40 years of entertaining our great parish. And this is a tradition, and it's something that we need to stay behind.
When we started planning for this concert, I asked Marita and Matthew to find a piece that had been published in 1984. And lo and behold, Marita found one, still in print. But not just any one. She found a piece composed by none other than Mr. Quincy Hilliard, who taught at Nicholls State University and is currently a professor at UL Lafayette. When she mentioned this to him when she saw him a few weeks ago, he responded that this piece that we're about to play was the first piece he was paid to write. So we conclude our portion tonight with Quincy Hilliard's Crestwood Overture.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your health is our legacy. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bork, know your rights.
Bayou Time Sports is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System's Community Sports Institute in conjunction with Barker Honda.
Couldn't be prouder of my team. Just obviously gut-wrenching way to lose a game. We just didn't make a play at the end.
It did look good when we were down 9-1. Your guys fought back. Just how tough is it to also lose in that situation? It looked like you come all the way back to.
Yeah, I mean, just like the euphoria of winning a game like that, it's twice as bad when you lose it. 9-1. I know everybody in the stadium probably thought the game was over. I didn't. My young men didn't. They never quit. They never stopped. And we had an opportunity to win the game. We felt like that's a game we should have won.
Mike Silva was an extremely accomplished assistant during his time with Lane Burroughs at Louisiana Tech. He took on a challenging job at Nicholls State and shattered the ceiling in marvelous fashion. Now he looks to take some of that magic to Jonesboro for the Red Wolves. Silva for Arkansas State is a Grand Slam hire in my opinion. He's an outstanding coach and an even better person. With that, this is certainly an exciting day. It's an honor to introduce our 6th men's baseball coach at Arkansas State, Coach Mike Silva.
The welcome from this community has just been outstanding. I mean, walking in here is, man, it's humbling. Not a lot of people in their lives, and definitely not in this business, get moments like this. And so very grateful and appreciative of the warm welcome, the band, the cheerleaders, the coaches, people showing up and taking time out of their day. It really means a lot. So I'd like to thank Jeff Purinton, Chancellor Dr. Todd Shields, Brandon Cunningham, Amy Foster, Taylor Hill, and Jerry Scott, along with coaches Brian Hodson and Butch Jones, for everything throughout this process. The time and sincerity that they showed me, I mean, I wish everybody could go through a process with that type of honesty and sincerity and vision. And about the position, more importantly, what they told me was about the Arkansas State family and the Jonesboro community. And immediately I was drawn to that. I'm a fit person. My family's a fit family. We want to be somewhere where we can be a part of a community, and not only that we feel like we can hopefully make an impact, but a community that I know will make an impact on my family.
It's a player's game. We hear that often. And the one thing about the person that we chose is his recruiting background. We talk about Thibodeau, we talk about how beautiful this place is. We talk about Nicholls State University with championships won despite the odds. It's about the right fit, the right people. We have a great community and we love you hard, which makes it tough to leave this place. But with that, we're thrilled to introduce Brent Herring as our 14th head baseball coach at Nicholls State University, a dedicated family man, a phenomenal recruiter. Brent brings 22 years of proven success to our program. In our search, we sought someone passionate about being at Nicholls and committed to continuing the winning traditions established by our previous head coach. Brent's leadership, relentless work ethic, and vision for the future make us excited about the next chapter of Nicholls baseball. We are confident that under his guidance, we'll keep moving forward and achieving great success. We welcome him, his wife Mary, and their 2 children. Here he is, our next head baseball coach, Coach Brent Herring.
Thrilled to be here with you guys today. I want to give a special thanks to Dr. Clune, to our athletic director, JT. I was so impressed with him and the rest of the committee throughout this process, and so looking forward to the opportunity to grow and learn and under their leadership. I feel very lucky and very blessed. I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you to the 6 head coaches that I've worked for throughout my time. Coach McGahey for giving me my first opportunity. I worked for him twice. Coach Lancaster at Mount Olive College. Coach Turley, Southern Virginia University. Coach Mike Hillwood at Dixie State and BYU. Coach Pratt at BYU. And finally, Coach Jay Johnson at LSU. These guys have molded me and shaped me into the coach that I am. They've given me freedom and opportunity to make mistakes and to learn from them. And they've been great role models for what I want to be as a head coach.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by South Louisiana Bank. It's better when we bank together. Waits and Downer, attorneys at law. Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough.